Supervisor Kiwa Shakur is excused, and Youth and Governance, Millie Segoya is going to be running a little bit late, so she should be here shortly. Hopefully if traffic works out okay, she'll get here on time. Having said that, then our Youth and Governance statement will be read tonight by Gianna.
Hello, we are members of the Racine County Youth and Governance Program, and we will be participating in tonight's meeting. This program serves to empower youth in Racine County by encouraging us to participate in local government. We have agreed to abide by the applicable standards of conduct that would govern any elected county board member. While we are encouraged to participate and are allowed to have a non-binding advisory vote on matters before the committee, all formal action taken by this committee will be based solely on the binding votes made by county board supervisors.
All right, thank you, Gianna. Just one of the things that we didn't get a chance to
Should we wait for Millie?
for the introductions? Okay, all right. I was just gonna do some introductions and stuff for the Youth and Governance representatives, but we can wait till Millie, if she gets here early enough.
Speaker.
Next thing up on the agenda will be public comments. And I do have one here in front of me for public comments.
You still take some of it?
Sure. Sure. Okay. So first up, we have Giovanni and Anthony.
Got the extra vowels. I didn't do it. My mother did.
All right, well, please step forward for your comments. And as customary, we normally have 3 minutes for the public comment period. So there's 2 of them, so we could give you the 6 minutes. And Vice Chairman Miller will do the timing, so welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. So we know that there's 2 properties that are on the agenda this evening that we are interested in speaking a little bit about. Specifically, 1229 6th Street is of interest to us. So we're happy to pass around some plans that we have if you're interested, but about 2 years ago, we purchased a property, 702 Racine Street, with the intention to redevelop it. And the property, 1229 6th Street, used to be part of our property way back when it was a tannery. And we are interested in purchasing that property. So we had been keeping an eye on it for a very long time. When we heard that it went into foreclosure, we were calling pretty regularly to learn about the status of the property. And we understand that it was supposed to go to the city potentially. And we, we're interested in acquiring it as a public and private green space. We understand there's some risk with the property just because of its history. It once was a tannery. We completely understand that and still are interested in purchasing it. I know you had some comments as well.
Yeah, I think, part of the Root River redevelopment plan, Machinery Row, all that kind of really attracted us to kind of the area, and we'd really like to see that kind of done and move forward. The property is underneath. It's really only accessible through our property and 1230, which is the property with the New Life Church. And the only way to access it is through kind of underneath the 6th Street Bridge. It would be really difficult to kind of redevelop that into, anything substantial. So I think for what we are interested in doing as part of a public-private green space, I think that would be a good use and still kind of pay homage to the Root River redevelopment plan that was kind of made back in 2018, or sorry, 2012.
Mm-hmm. I think that is all we have for comments, and I know that it'll be discussed further if there's any questions.
Unfortunately, with state statute, we are not able to correspond and have direct dialation back and forth with, right, but during the agenda process, an item on the agenda, we maybe have that opportunity, so, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Next up for public comments, we have the DA, Tricia Hansen.
Welcome, Trish.
Hello,
Hello, everyone. I'm here tonight, however, not as the district attorney, but as a constituent. Um, I'm here to speak in favor of the Tishigan drawdown and dredging project. I will tell you that a year ago at this time, when this was being considered, maybe it's more than a year now, but when this was being considered for Browns Lake, my first response to anybody who asked me was, hey, I think we have a significant problem just a little bit north. So now that the county has set a precedent with the Browns Lake project, there's a lot at stake out in the Tishigan Fox River area, not just the Conservancy, but and I don't know the numbers, and I'll do my homework certainly before this, if we're fortunate enough for this proposal to make it to the county board. But I have to imagine that the traffic we have north on the Fox River in Tishigan is at least the equivalent of Browns Lake, if not more, because of the actual mileage that we have and the boats that we attract. I will tell you that I've been there my whole life, and the reality is that we really have a lot of people that come from Illinois to spend their money in the village of Waterford, the town of Waterford. There's Illinois plates everywhere. Not only are we missing out on a real opportunity to make sure that our recreational zone in the town of Waterford and the village of Waterford is used to its optimal capacity, I think we really risk the ecological impact that the slowing and the raising of the Fox River is seeing right now. There are really impassable areas along the Fox, and at some point that's going to affect everybody up and downstream. So I was extremely encouraged to hear that this was before you tonight. I think it's very much in fitting with the Monsanto funds that the county received as a result of the class action lawsuit. And clearly that's been demonstrated because in Burlington, we use that money for the same purpose. So I just want to be here to strongly encourage this group, and I will be before the county board to strongly encourage the adoption of this proposal. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other public comments? Any other public comments? All right, public comment period will be closed. Next item up on the agenda is number 4 is the approval of the minutes from the May 6, 2026 committee meeting. This will be action by the committee.
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion made and seconded to approve the minutes from May 6, 2026. Any additions or corrections to the minutes as presented? Seeing none, hearing none. Yep, we'll do the youth and governance. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, and committee, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the minutes are approved. Item number 5, we're going to speak with the county treasurer, Jeff Lattis, in regards to the resolution by Finance and Human Resources Committee authorizing the sale and transfer of in-rem properties 1230 6th Street and 1229 6th Street to the City of Racine Community Development Authority in the amount of $55,032. Action requested. Jeff,
Good evening.
welcome. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for your time. So this is actually being represented to the Finance Committee. This item was put forward through to County Board at the, I believe it was the April 21st, April 14th, second reading at the April 14th County Board meeting. Discussion at that meeting essentially recommended that it come back to Finance Committee for additional discussion. So the resolution is being represented as it originally was, and I guess we're open for discussion to determine whether or not we want to entertain any ideas of changes to the resolution. I've had ongoing communication with the CDA. The CDA submitted the offer to purchase both parcels for $55,000. And essentially, if the committee were to decide to potentially split the parcels and move forward with the sale of one parcel to the CDA and the other parcel through the sealed bid process, which has been suggested, that certainly is a viable option. However, the CDA would have to bring that back through their process to get approval for that modified offer. Essentially, right now, the offer before us has been authorized by the CDA for the purchase of both parcels. If a decision were made to go in a different direction, then we would essentially have to present this at a future date if and when the CDA was able to present an offer for just a single parcel, if they had interest in just a single parcel.
All right. Supervisor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So my sense on the debate on the county board is that the county board members who voted to send this back were interested in pursuing the opportunity for a sealed bid on the one parcel. That's what I gathered from the debate. But we do have here tonight the supervisor who represents the area and another supervisor who brought this to our attention. So, Mr. Chairman, I would like both of them to have an opportunity to address the committee.
If you'd like to address the committee, please come forward.
Yep. Good evening, good evening. So after the April 14th meeting, I took the liberty of talking to all parties involved, from my constituents, starting with her, down to Walt Williams and Jeff, and also Alderman Malik Frazier. In my investigation, that's when I came to find out that this has been something that my constituent has been looking forward to for over a year and a half. And she was told that if the property comes up for purchase, just keep calling, keep calling, keep calling. My constituent did her due diligence. So I want to say that first. And then we got into conversation about threats being made and things like that. So in talking to my constituent, and I'm going to quote, and I quote, Walt was very nice and informative in our meeting, but he said we wouldn't want to be in an adversarial situation. It struck me as an odd comment, and I didn't know what to think. So in speaking with her, because that was the comment that was the threatening nature. So in speaking with her, she said, I'm from New York, I got tough skin. I didn't take it that way, but other people did. So that's where that came in at. Okay. So in talking with Malik, I'm still trying to figure out why he didn't bring it to me, since it was a county issue a year and a half ago. But that was just a conversation that I had with him. And I said, if there was something that was dealing with the city, I would come to you. So in good faith for us to work together, if there's an issue that comes up, notify the appropriate people so that we can do things the right way. Now, if she hadn't did her due diligence for over a year and a half, then it would have been a so be it moment. But the fact that somebody is that adamant and that passionate, and then when we look at the Machinery Row project and you can't even access it, what is the harm in doing a seal bid? In doing things the right way? So we just do things and give stuff to people because the city wants it, so they just get it. It doesn't work that way. Hence into why I will be making sure to get a resolution drawn up that we go through seal bids and do things properly to give the community a chance. If they want to do something, that they have the proper chance to build and grow as they see fit as well. We should be ashamed of just wanting to do things, because the city wants it, we're going to give it to them. No, it doesn't work that way. So I really implore you guys, please, let's separate the parcels. If you want 1230, so be it. But at the end of the day, that building has been sitting there and it has been sore eyes for us for years. So do I mind it continuing to be a blight, as we call it? I really don't. I don't. It's been here all that years, just sitting there, abandoned. So whether the city decides to buy it or not, but let's separate the properties. Let's do right by our community. Please. And I will make sure to get a resolution drawn up that we go through sealed bid processes and do things the proper way. Because it's time out for this madness. Thank you.
Next.
Supervisor Papillion.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, hi, Gianna. Nice to see you on this committee. Welcome. And I'm glad this item has come back before the Finance Committee. From my understanding, Corporation Counsel Lansdorf had said for it to be separated, this is the rightful place for it to be. We couldn't do that on the county board floor. And for those who don't know the property or haven't had the opportunity to look at the overview that Google may provide, this property has no road access. And the only, I think, viable and reasonable usage is for the property that abuts it. And that would be the property of the two people you've heard speak during public comment. And I believe from my understanding of the chain of events too, that this couple really acted in good faith. And they attended the meetings that they were told to attend. And unfortunately, there was a gap. You know, Valina spoke to, or Supervisor Coleman spoke to some of that. But then there's also an absence of following the procedure in which which they were told. And unfortunately, it leads us here this evening. The good thing is that there is a catch. You know, not always do we look at things from multiple angles. Sometimes we look at the things that have always worked in the past. And now we realize that there is something that isn't working quite right. And, but here is a property that is undevelopable. It is true. And so, however, the plan that this couple has proposed sounds very similar to the plan in which we heard Jeff Hintz speak of, but the difference is the city takes it instead of it getting back on the property tax roll. And even though it's smaller property and it's not really developable, it still is going to generate some taxes, unlike giving it to a municipality. So keep that in mind. And that's ultimately what we should want as somebody who represents the county, is that we should want these properties to go back into the tax roll and have a life that contributes positively to our community. So I also heard through this process that Walt Williams had said that nothing's going to happen on this property for 10 years. So that's, I want you to keep that in mind and think about the last time we have given the city of Racine multiple properties, and some of them still have not been developed. And I know there's a few of you who know who's been tracking those for over the years. So it's not to say that it's, we shouldn't necessarily be giving it to the city of Racine, some of these properties, but there should be a process that's in place for us to be able to review it and to make that decision. So I think the real ask this evening is to get these two items separated so we can act on them separate. And for items to go back to the CDA for review, it's just part of a process. It's no big deal, so let's not make this, sound like it's a big mountain when it truly is a molehill. So that's it. Thank you.
Supervisor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank my two colleagues from the city who took their time to appear before us with a lot of good background and a lot of good rationale for how to do the right thing. And I think we can expedite the desire here, which I believe was the desire of the county board, and that's why it's back here at this committee. So I'm going to move to deny this offer and ask the county treasurer to contact the Community Development Authority about the 1230 parcel and put the other parcel up for sealed bid. That is my motion.
So we have a motion and a second on the floor to send this back. Further discussion?
Yeah, and I think it's important to know that, we want to work with both parties. We'd be happy to work with the city on the one, and the other, we're not making a decision on 1229. We're just asking that it go through a process of sealed bids. And I can't guarantee what's going to happen there, but we want to use that process.
Supervisor Wish.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Still have a question, and I think you know what the question is, because I've asked it twice now. But you mentioned an adversarial relationship. And there was a mention in one of the previous meetings about threats. Can I ask where those threats or the adversarial relationship came from? What is that?
So that was the comment that was supposed to be the threat. And yeah, that the end quote that I gave you.
So where did it come
I
from?
think you're asking who the.
From Walt Williams, the director.
The
So you
Director
alluded
of
to that
Community
the
Development
The
for the
city would
city of
make it an
Livingston.
issue.
Yes, so, yeah, but in speaking with my constituent, and she said she didn't take it as a threat, but when you begin to ask other people's opinion, and then people want to tend to make, like I said, we can all form an opinion of how we would take it. When I heard it, I was like, well, I wouldn't consider it to say a threat. It was just a comment. I wouldn't say a threat. So when we use, we have to be careful with the terms that we use, because everything is basically how we interpret things. Because on the outside looking in, I'm like, where's the threat? You know? But it was made to be a little bit messy. And I feel like my constituent was dragged into drama because of other parties and their little tiffs that they have with each other, in which I apologize to my constituent, because I felt like she should not have to endure people's personal drama when all she wants is a green space and to bring some beauty to my district. And I thought that it was wrong, and how everything happened was wrong. Because first of all, for me to find out April 14th, yep.
I'm not sure.
So it was brought up twice. So for me to have to find out something that's going on in my district, but I allowed everything to play out just to see what was truly going to happen. And then guess what? I did my investigation in a matter of 2 days. And I talked to everybody that I needed to talk to, because guess what? I don't do third-party information. I do, let me talk to the source, to the person that it happened to, and get down to the facts.
So where did the breakdown happen between the county and the city and the sealed bid process?
Basically, you said the breakdown, where did it happen?
What
Well, I
happened?
think he's, why they're wondering why from the CDA. So they did attend the CDA meeting and
Sandy Widener had talked to, so it all, okay, well, we gotta name drop. So let's name drop.
I actually
Sandy-
should pull them up here to maybe talk, because we
Oh,
don't.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, can we pull them up so that they can?
They
speak
could
for
probably
themselves?
answer better than we can answer as the
Yeah.
process, because
I
we
guess
weren't part of that
we'll allow
process.
a couple of questions.
Yeah,
Y'all come on up, baby.
here, we can let them up.
Come on up. We gonna get up.
If you just want to share your process. Sure. And I apologize, I don't have all of the dates, but we did attend a meeting about whether the property was blight or not. I guess that's how I would say that. And followed up to have a meeting with Walt. And so Walt and I met for a coffee, and he advised that we not try to purchase the property because he would not want to be in an adversarial situation with us. I don't know what that means. We're not from here. I didn't know how to take that. And so I reached out to several different people, both friends, but trying to figure out who I reach out to as new people. And so Malik was one of those folks, to understand what the repercussions would be if it was an adversarial situation. I don't know what that means. And I don't know what that means to our current investment in our property now, 702 Racine Street. So I wasn't sure if that meant permits could be pulled or zoning could happen differently. So, I mean, to be honest, I don't know, we felt concerned.
So
Um,
so your conversations were with the city? Had you had any conversation with the county?
We had conversations with the county about when the sealed bid would open for us to make a bid.
So we had called the county multiple times. I forget the name. We were directed to the lawyer perhaps, who usually is in charge of sealed bids. I'm so sorry, I don't have that note in front of me. And that was the only communication that we had with the county. We also did not know we had a county representative, full disclosure. So I'm glad we do.
So our treasurer had no knowledge of that communication.
Our treasurer,
Our treasurer, the county treasurer.
I do not know.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
We can play musical chairs.
Yeah, I'm comfortable answering from here. I've not had any communication with them.
Oh,
I
yeah,
found
no,
out
not there.
that they had potential interest in the property through Supervisor Caprillion while we were already underway with the review of the bid process for the CDA offer that was.
At the finance committee meeting a month or so ago.
Correct,
So that's the first time you heard of it.
correct. I mean, it was, but the offer was already in hand. It was getting scheduled to be put forward for finance. And then that's when Supervisor Caprillion made me aware that the adjacent property owners would have potential interest in the property. At that point, we already had the offer in from the CDA and we're moving forward in that process. So, I never eliminated them from consideration. We just never had knowledge of their immediate interest in the property.
So the CDA didn't give you any information as far as their communication with them?
I had been speaking with the CDA. They were also aware that there was potential interest in that, but again, that was all kind of in that same timeline of it was already the offer in hand and moving forward to get it on the agenda for finance committee.
And I know you probably can't answer this, so I understand that, but what are the chances the city backs out if they split these?
Yeah, I do have Jeff Hins here and he could potentially speak to that. I don't think he can speak to it with any certainty because it's not his decision. The CDA, I guess the board for the CDA would have to review the purchase of just one property versus the two. I really can't give a percentage on that.
Yeah.
I would expect that there would still be interest in 1230. Without 1229, but that's just my assumption based on its location and its proximity to the adjacent property, 27 acres that are already owned by the city. So it would make sense to me that they would still have interest in 1230, but I can't say that with any certainty.
Thank you. Because of all these extenuating situation factors, I am in favor of Chairman Miller's proposal. Thank you.
Supervisor Trotter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question for our treasurer. I'm just want to clarify that the action that you and your office took initially, the way it was proceeded, was legal.
Yeah, I actually take offense to Supervisor Coleman's indication that anything was done in an other than appropriate way. We've done this multiple times in the past. In fact, on the same exact finance committee agenda and on the same exact county board agenda, we went through the exact same process with two parcels for the village of Mount Pleasant. Those passed with unanimous consent with no objection whatsoever. So, if there's objection to process and procedure and certainly an implication that there's an inappropriate action being taken, the village of Mount Pleasant parcels were handled in the exact same manner that the city of Racine parcels were. If there was an objection to procedure, it would have should have been voiced against those parcels as well, as opposed to just the city of Racine.
So this is a discretionary type of situation, then could I make that statement that true? It is this up to your discretion, the way the statutes were written. I think it was Supervisor Shakur quoted them at the last meeting of the county board that what procedure was done was legal from the standpoint of the treasurer's office.
Absolutely, yeah, we follow
Okay.
state statute to the T, and when there's a
Mhm.
suggestion of a resolution being written to handle these in a different manner, that certainly can be done, but they're being handled within the guidelines of state statute, which oversees the process in which we dispose of these properties. So I don't know that a resolution could override state statute, but if that's, you know, the intent, certainly.
So the procedure moving forward as proposed by Supervisor Miller would be then to split the two parcels up, go through the formality and the legal proceedings of getting CDA's approval, the city council's approval, and then coming back to you to do it as a sealed bid, correct?
Correct. Yes.
And that would then open it up to the general public for everyone to bid on it. Should the bid be to someone that we be totally not in agreement with what they want to use the property for, it'd be tough luck, correct? The current individuals want to use it as a, what was the quote? Green space, a private green space. Great. A public-private green space, excuse me. Yes, public-private green space. So that would tell me that I'm sure no growing of anything could be done on there other than maybe just grass, okay? That's a great idea. I'm for that. But I am just concerned that if they're not the highest bid and somebody would bid higher, what we may or may not have. I appreciate the decision you made, which was in accordance with what the city's plan is for that area. I'm nervous that if it does go to bid, what could happen with that parcel if in fact the current individuals that want to buy it are not the highest bid. I want to make that clear.
Sure. And, you know, I would like to make clear, there certainly was never an intent to eliminate anybody from an opportunity to secure the property. We don't have a lot of circumstances come up where my recommendation is to transfer through intergovernmental cooperation with the municipality. We've sold 270 properties since I've been treasurer, and maybe we've transferred 25 of those properties through intergovernmental cooperation. So by and large, most of the properties go through the sealed bid process and are open to market conditions. With the nature of these two specific properties, it was my assumption that in order to put those properties back into productive use, it was going to take a specialized skill set. They're not parcels that the standard flipper is going to come in and be able to put back into productive use. You know, the property at 1230 more than likely has to be raised. So in order for that site to even become developable, somebody's probably going to have to invest $100,000 or better just to get that site developable. 1229 was adjacent to it. So the decision that I made to essentially partake in the intergovernmental cooperation was with the intent to get these parcels into the most qualified person's hands to put them back into productive use, because the average consumer is not going to be able to do that. The city has resources and expertise to be able to do that. There's potential for contamination on the property that may have to be addressed at some point. The average consumer is not going to be able to do that smoothly. The CDA has experience. So again, the intent was never to prevent anybody from being able to participate in the program or in the process. You know, it's my responsibility to put these back into productive use. And in order to do that, I want to maximize the financial return to the county in doing that. So by and large, properties go through that sealed bid process. Very special circumstances where they don't. This one, I looked at it and I felt that the CDA was the most qualified entity to take ownership of those properties and put them back into productive use.
All right, thank you Supervisor Trotter for that clarification too in regards to the legal document that we had and how it was prepared and brought forth to the county board and to this committee. So I appreciate that. Supervisor Rossi.
Thank you, Chairman. I did want to address one item from, or comments made by Supervisor Trotter about someone possibly buying the property for an undesired or unwanted use. I do believe that is why zoning exists. You know, the city has already outlined what it believes are the appropriate uses for that facility, for that property. If it thought that there'd be a better use for some other zoning, then that falls under the purview of the city then to change the zoning. So permissible uses are already defined. That's really outside of our purview. Um, what concerns me about this process is, you know, us jumping in and saying, well, maybe we like this, maybe we don't like this. And I think that creates a faulty process. We should not become the decision makers of what we want to see there. We need to afford the public a neutral, unbiased approach. The current approach allows for situations like this to flourish. And that is why I do support Supervisor Coleman's idea, soon to be resolution, I'd hope, to eliminate the discretion portion of this and bring all of these properties to sealed bid. Thank you.
Supervisor Miller, then Supervisor Coleman.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm looking at a room full of people that I respect highly, who do their jobs well. I think what really happened here, and I'm looking at a person, I'm speaking as a person who's been around for a while. Communication is often the cause, or lack of communication is often the cause of problems. I don't think the treasurer did anything wrong. I don't think the CDA did anything wrong. I don't think our citizens did anything wrong. But you know what? Before I got on the county board, I had no idea what the county board did. And now I do. But the average citizen doesn't, so they need to reach out. Fortunately, there are two county supervisors in this room who have guided them to go through the proper channels, and I think that's what's happening. I would say though, and I'm completely in support of the intent of Supervisor Coleman, supported by Supervisor Rossi, but my understanding is this committee can do what my motion says, send it back with the direction. And again, I think this is what the county board wanted. Approach the CDA, see if they want 1230, and then put the 1229 up for a sealed bid. Is the treasurer comfortable with that protocol?
Absolutely, I'm receptive to that, and I would argue that the current process, I mean, this is evidence that the current process is working out, right? So it's not my decision as to whether or not properties get transferred to the CDA, the Village of Mount Pleasant, or anybody else. If a property is transferred to a municipality foregoing that sealed bid process, it goes before the county board. So the process that is in place is doing exactly as it should do. The county board reviewed the situation and additional discussions are being made. So yeah, I mean, whether a change to that takes place is completely up to, you know, those parties that make that decision. But yes, I'm receptive to the splitting of those properties. I have reservations. I've had multiple, and again, no intent on the current parties here. I've had multiple conversations with interested parties in the past that don't show up for the sealed bid process. So it's entirely possible that we do exactly as is being discussed. I put 1229 up for sealed bid sale, and potentially I don't get any sealed bid sales for it, in which case the county is left holding the responsibility and carrying costs of that parcel, which was a significant considering factor in my original recommendation to essentially sell those properties to the CDA. I have confidence after hearing the constituents address to the committee that they would have interest, but again, to Supervisor Trottier's point, I'm taking open bids. They may not be the highest bidder, and the highest bidder may have a completely different intent for that property. So, you know, we lose our control of that through that process as well.
And Mr. Chairman, just to follow up on that, the committee does not have to take the highest bid.
Correct. The committee does have discretion.
Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion, seconded on the floor. I'm sorry. Supervisor Coleman.
Address one thing to our treasurer respectfully. I was very present at the meeting when QA Shakur did read it to find out that everything that was done was legal. in my personal opinion, which I am entitled to have. And I just didn't like the fact you can't bring up Mount Pleasant because guess what? Mount Pleasant didn't have a constituent that wanted to acquire a property. That's why Mount Pleasant passed unanimously with no problem. Now, we found out about April 14th, that was the second time that it got brought up, but it got brought up the prior meeting to that, which changed the circumstances. So Mount Pleasant ain't have anything to do with nothing. But what it all boils down to is this is about business. This isn't about personal feelings and things like that. If I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I'm a straightforward person who deals with facts. And the fact of the matter is, we have somebody from the city who just happened to be in my district and they have interest in wanting the property, which changes the situation. So I just needed to go on record so that's known. But if I offended you, sorry. That's all.
I don't know that that even merits a response, to be honest with you.
It don't. It don't.
All right. All right, one more comment.
This is actually just clarifying because Supervisor Miller, that was the process that I believe is going to be voted on this evening, what you presented. But Supervisor Trottier, you did add a different element. And I just wanted to clear up because I don't think that's part of the process. But you mentioned that this would have to go to the CDA and then it would then come back here. But if we vote on this evening to be separate, then, so just make sure. Yep. Okay, very good. So once this happens, it doesn't go to the CDA. Okay, very good.
All right, so we have a motion and a second on the floor to dismiss this and send it back to be revamped as separate parcels. Correct, Supervisor Miller?
Yeah, the motion was to, well, Nicole has it, but I think, just to clarify, we're asking the county treasurer to see if the city is still interested in the single parcel and then to put the other parcel, 1229, up for sealed bids.
We need a motion on this.
So that was the motion.
We have a motion and a second.
Yep, has been.
Yes, yes, Supervisor Rossi has a second.
Chairman, requesting a roll call.
So just so we're clear, what we're voting for, yes, is going to go back, and no, it is not going back. It's going to
Be set.
set as it is. Correct?
It'd have to be a different motion if it
Right.
fails.
Okay. All right, and a roll call vote was requested. So we'll go through the list. Supervisor Trottier.
Yes.
Supervisor Miller.
Yes.
Supervisor Spencer.
Yes.
Supervisor Rossi.
Yes.
Supervisor Wish.
Yes.
Supervisor Meyer, yes.
We forgot our meeting.
And our youth and governance, Millie?
Yes. Yes.
Both have yes. Okay. All right, we will,
Thank you.
Questions?
Supervisor Spencer.
None. I'm wondering why 1230, what makes that special and not having to go back for sealed bid as well? I mean, I know what makes it special,
From what,
Well, there was no known interest other than the CDA for that parcel,
and
which would again be similar to the other ones we've done over the years where we give it to a municipality and we're not aware of anyone else having an interest.
no interest that we know of, the same as in Mount Pleasant where there was no interest that we know of.
Right, right. Yes.
It's
possible.
I
Yeah,
would,
that certainly
I
could be
would love
possible,
to see
but
the city have 1230, but
and from what I understand from Corporate Council, that if this was opted to be split, it has to go back. And it has to be brought back forth separately again. All right, next item is the county board chairman, Mr. Kramer, authorizing a project to the Waterford Waterway Management District for the drawdown dredging project and the transfer of $750,000 within the Monsanto settlement 2026 budget 2026 resolution, action requested, first reading at the May 26, 2026 County Board meeting. And we have some gentlemen here to follow up on some of the questions that the committee had asked, I believe, with the last group. Good evening. And if you guys could introduce yourself and
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I may, I'm going to go ahead and get it started and then turn it over. I'm here to represent the district as a result of obviously being my backyard. On the 18th, we did the original presentation of the request, which was for $1 million. At that meeting, it was for information only. We obviously shared the entire presentation, and then we were asked a number of questions, which we had been requested to follow up on, which we did on the 27th of April. In that follow-up, there was not only specific answers to some of the questions, but also considerable backup that was presented as a result of the homework and research that was done by the district. Since that time, before I turn it over, I did want to mention that tonight the objective for us as a district was going to be, let's respond to the questions, ask us the additional information you might want to have some follow-up. We weren't going to go through a whole presentation again tonight, but certainly are available to offer any additional feedback. I will say that all of us in the mail received this Wisconsin Counties magazine, which interestingly enough, when I went through this, entirely spoke to the project, which the district is currently presenting for consideration. When you look through here, it talks about quality of water. It talks about the issue regarding concerns of invasive species and certainly issues regarding the environment. And so I found it interesting, and from a timing standpoint, we did bring copies in case anybody was interested in any of it, just simply to be able to offer some additional support for what the district is attempting to try to complete here. So with that having been said, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to turn it back to offer the opportunity for these gentlemen, which, excuse me, forgive me, I made a huge mistake. You have to my left here, Grant Hill, listen to me, old basketball player. You have Grant Horn. He is the environmental individual for the district. Grant is responsible for the ecosystem restoration project. And you have Luc Francois, who is the treasurer of the district, here to also represent any of the information that may be requested. So with that having been said, Mr. Chairman, let me throw it back and please offer any of feedback.
all right, questions from the committee, thoughts from the committee? Supervisor Rossi.
Thank you, Chairman. Just I'm trying to understand the reduction. I believe the request was for $1 million, and we're looking at $750,000.
Correct.
Is there any reason?
Based on leadership and conversation with the county board chairman and the county executive, that they were more comfortable at that time with $750,000 of the Monsanto money, based on the potential needs and other wants and needs of the county going forward and other uses, and even as much as today bringing up the information from the Horlick Dam, that the Horlick Dam is also another suitable usage of the Monsanto money.
Thank you, Chairman. Then I move to send this for first reading at the May 26, 2026 County Board meeting.
Second. So we have a motion seconded to send this to county board for first reading. Any further discussion on the motion? Supervisor Troutier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Great job, team. There's a lot of work that's been done and a lot of work to be done. I definitely can support this resolution. I see it will benefit Racine County and all of its residents. But I am concerned about the dollar amount of $750,000. I know the reduction went from 1 million, as Supervisor Rossi pointed out, down to 750,000. My concern is that would leave the Monsanto fund with $353,000. Okay. From a risk management position and serving as the prior chairman of the finance committee, that dollar amount is, in my mind, too lean. Okay. We do have other obligations out there that are on the table for the very near future and ones that we may not know about. Therefore, I'd like to take into account and propose that we substitute the 750,000 for 600,000. And then that would leave the Monsanto fund additional good sum of money for the Horlick Dam restoration project that will be done in the very, very near future. And I think that we have that. I do recall, recall the cobwebs pulling them out, that, I can't think of his name from the crick, those guys, what's his name? Dave Giordano. And their group had promised that they would look into additional grants that were out there. I've heard nothing about any additional grants. So I think that responsibility will fall on behalf of the county to search for additional grants, but I don't want to deplete the Monsanto account to $353,000. I'm suggesting and I'm proposing that we substitute the 750 for the 600,000. I'm asking that I propose that substitute 750,000 for 600,000. I'm proposing this as a motion and an amendment to this existing resolution.
So we have a motion and seconded to adjust the amount from $750,000 to $600,000. Further discussion on the amendment. Supervisor Spencer.
I, as the supervisor in the district of the Horlick Dam, I do support that because I know that that removal project is going to be a heavy lift to do the same, all the same things that are gonna happen when the river is coming down, narrowing.
Mitigation.
The mitigate, yeah, thank you.
Supervisor Rossi.
Thank you, Chairman. Supervisor Horath, I have to ask you what your thoughts are on this. You and myself, and more recently you, more than myself, have been a champion of saving dollars, and that reallocation of these dollars can help the county.
Mhm.
I want to know your thoughts.
Supervisor Rossi, first of all, I appreciate you asking, and I appreciate the request and the consideration both ways. I think the district, is fair to say, we've talked in advance, they're certainly supportive of the funding in general. I will say this, though, that this district has been working extremely hard and they've got the work completed. Horlick Dam, unfortunately, has not yet done that. And so we don't know what that's going to look like. You're right. We don't have any idea. Whereas when it came to the issue of Browns Lake, we were all very prepared to give them what ended up being $1.1 million. In this situation, we have the opportunity to move forward with a plan that has been presented, that is being currently in the process of being executed. Just so everyone knows as well, there was a meeting held with the Riparian Ownership Group on the 18th of April that basically outlined exactly what was being proposed for modifications to the existing budget for the year. And they went ahead and approved it almost unanimously, everybody in attendance, to move forward with this plan. Now, to your question, Supervisor Rossi, you know that I'm absolutely in support of being able to help save dollars, but at the same time, this money here is from the Monsanto fund. This is not coming out of the Racine County budget. Now, the future expenses might come out of a budget, but right now what we're trying to do is in keeping with the state's expectations, certainly from the counties, and trying to take care of our waterways. And so I actually, to be blunt, when I heard the number of 750,000, I was disappointed because in our anticipation, first of all, our watershed is, well, I think it's pretty close to being 3 times as big as Browns Lake. And it encompasses a much larger area. And as you heard District Attorney Hansen say a little bit ago, certainly more volume of people that come through the Waterford area and certainly our lake and our riverway. So to me, I thought that the number, I was disappointed in it, but I was respectful. I understood that we wanted to keep some money aside for some future projects. I don't know if that's going to be a year, 3 years, 5 years from now. This is something that's currently underway and we have the ability to move forward on immediately. And so I believe that this money would be wisely spent as we're outlining it. As I said, I personally would have preferred the $1 million. I'll tell you straight out. But I understood the decision or the recommendation to go into 750, which still leaves money for the consideration of the Horlick Dam project. Or, excuse me, or future projects that may need to come and be given consideration. So I hope I answered your question, maybe a little longer answer than you wanted. But I'm pretty passionate about supporting this group of people and certainly what they've done since it is my backyard to represent. Thank you.
And thank you Supervisor Horace. And just a quick follow-up to that then, because it's somewhat, well, it is relevant. Do we have plans, designs, anything for the Horlick Dam to spend this money that we're talking about reallocating?
If I may. We do have plans. It's been approved. It's been approved by the county board and the Army Corps of Engineers. It was included and bonded in the 2025 budget. And our report that I will share after this item for number 7 shows that the Horlick Dam is scheduled to be completed in November of 27.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, and
Supervisor Miller.
Supervisor Rossi asked an excellent question. It's my understanding that the mitigation, the after effects, there are estimates that it's going to cost about $500,000. So that is why I seconded Supervisor Trottier's amendment, because you have an excellent project. I wish we could pay for the whole thing. We can never pay for everything we want. And I commend Supervisor Harth for his advocacy. I think it's been a wonderful presentation of information, and the project is well thought out. It's deserving of some funding. I think at this time, the appropriate amount would be $600,000.
May I speak? Just have one other consideration that hadn't been brought forward, and I currently serve as the superintendent and business manager at Waterford Union High School. So managing grants is something I do quite frequently and has become more dependent, unfortunately, in schools now more than ever. And as I hear the conversation, when we first started this project with $1 million ask, it did not encompass the full project. We knew that we were going to continue to have to levy funds and raise funds and secure grants to complete the project as it is. So 1 million at the time of the ask was a big ask. We understand that, but it wasn't going to cover the full amount. Well, that time has been more than a year since we started this project. And if you, like all of us, have been watching inflationary costs, the CPI year over year, that 1 million is now 1.263 million for the same project. And so we're actually going backwards just by time moving forward. And by the time we actually spend that dollar amount, it's probably going to be upwards of $1.3 million for the same project that we asked for, started to think about a year ago. And so there's another thing that hasn't been considered that I just want to propose, because I want to first say thank you for the 750 and thank you for the reconsideration at 600. We're very gracious for that. However, as a grant manager myself, sometimes when it's left too thin and too slim to really help out a Horlick project, sometimes it's best just to close the grant and exhaust it and move it forward. And then the purpose and the intent of the grant, which is to address water clarity, has fully been consumed by this project and then some. I'm not sure how the Horlick Dam removal will address water clarity, but I'm sure there's a way to package that. And so I don't want to minimize that project because I'm not familiar with it, but this project fully falls in the center of this grant's purpose. There is dollars available that are appropriate to the ask. There's still a riparian piece to this that will have to be coming to the table to make this whole project work in its entirety over phases. And so one possible consideration for this board is to reconsider the $1 million ask and or think about it in terms of a CPI increase and exhaust the grant fully.
All right, thank you. And I just wanted to say thank you to Supervisor Horth for the conversations and stuff that we've had in regards to this and some of those tough decisions and stuff that, you know, we have to make as a board too. But just one point of clarity too, the Monsanto was a settlement and not a grant. So it's a little bit different situation. So just for a little bit of clarity that way. Supervisor Spencer.
Thank you. Question for Gwen. I am wondering where the Monsanto money is. Like, is it growing? Is it?
Yeah, it's sitting in the LGIP, local government investment pool. in an interest-bearing account, making about 3.8% every month. It's sitting at just over $1.1 million right now.
I closely listened to all of the meeting minutes from the last meeting. It was $3,150 that it is gaining in interest.
There's principal and there's interest, so I'm not following what you're saying.
Just from the last meeting, you had stated it was $3,150 that it's gaining in interest.
Gaining an
No,
interest.
that is how much interest has been earned on the principal received. The full balance of principal and interest is $1,130,000.
Yeah, thank you.
And I can provide bank statements if you'd like to see that.
And the rest of my question is, when would this money be taken out in order to help Michigan?
If it follows the same protocol as the Burlington request, we would draft an MOU with the district and it would be spelled out within the agreement. So Burlington wanted the money up front and then a report out a year later on how the funds were spent. I would anticipate you guys would probably be looking for the same. So within a month probably of the item being approved.
Mr. Chairman,
Supervisor
my
Hort.
apologies. One more comment. The one thing that I would really want to ensure that obviously the board has had the opportunity to look at or consider would also be the Monsanto funds had some very specific language about what it was to be utilized towards, and you already heard Supervisor, listen to me, Luc Francois, the treasurer, he already spoke directly to the fact that obviously these funds, if you take a look at them, how are they going to be utilized? And in the case of the project for the WWMD, it's entirely to improve water quality, invasive species management, the environment. I don't know that the Horlick Dam project meets the same criteria of water quality because it's simply the elimination, I say simply, it's the elimination of a dam. And so I'm not sure where that's going to improve unless maybe that has in fact been a part of the plan. But this one has clearly shown that it will be specifically directly tied to water improvement quality, which was the intent, as I understood it, for the funding that was set aside as a part of the settlement.
Supervisor Spencer.
I'm not sure if I can speak on this, but what I know of the dam project, the invasives are a huge concern of the people who own the property along the river. And they have been for a while, and they will be multiplied with the river seeding down. And I forgot what. With that, I mean, I'm sure it was qualified. I haven't looked into, but do think that the other supervisors here are speaking on knowing that the Monsanto would fit with the dam project. Oh, the other thing was that I also heard that the Army Corps of Engineers is not quite living up to what they said when we approved them tearing down the dam. So we are going to need more funds to cover some of the activity that they said that they would be doing.
And I can say that I did spoke with corporate counsel and it does meet the criteria for the Monsanto settlement funds.
Okay, fair enough.
Any other questions or comments? If not, we have a motion and second on the floor to amend the 750,000, 600,000. No other comments or questions. We will call the question on the amended amendment. Youth and governance, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
County supervisors, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
All right, we have 2 noes. And we have 4 that are in favor of. Okay. Motion carried.
Thank you all for your consideration. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time. Item number 7 is a report from the Finance Department in the Racine County 2026 bi-monthly large capital projects report.
Thank you, Chairman. Per the ordinance presented by Supervisor Rossley, this is our bi-monthly capital project report. It outlines projects that are over $1 million or are highly public, including the Horlick Dam. If there are specific questions about the projects, we can have the departments come back to a future meeting or perhaps have them come to the Public Works, Parks and Facilities meeting to speak on those projects specifically.
All right, do we have any questions for Director Zimmer? Supervisor Spencer?
Thank you. So do we know the date of that public works and facilities meeting? Oh,
Supervisor Rossi?
Thank you, Chairman. We took up the smaller report at our last meeting, actually, and then postponed it. We didn't have a representative from facilities there, so we're most likely going to be taking that up at we're talking about having a special session next week, Thursday. So if that doesn't happen, then it will be the following Thursday, and the 2-week cadence then would be not the 4th, but the 11th. So I hate to give you a 2-part answer, but it could be the 28th, but if not, it'll be the 11th.
And I will note that for the large capital projects, the marina, behavioral health, 911 radio, and the public safety building, we've been doing like a quarterly update to the full county board. That's scheduled for the June meetings. I believe the marina is the first meeting in June and the other projects are the second meeting in June.
Supervisor Rossi, will this be coordinated through the Wendy's office? Your meeting? Or
Yeah,
through the,
And if, what I could do is then just send notice out have them send notice out to the full board that we'll be going over those reports. Usually whenever we have, usually moving forward, when we have facility related discussions, then we're gonna have more of a, open discussion on these types of items. So if anyone wants to attend, has questions, send them to me or attend the meetings.
Great.
Love to have you.
thank you.
All right, and has this been customary to send this to the county board as well? Thank you. All right, next up on the agenda, number 8, communications, reports, referrals for the county board meeting.
Move to receive and file.
And that would be for the bankruptcy and the foreclosure items. So a motion has been made to receive and file. We will do that. Staff reports. Oh, I'm sorry. Youth and governance, all those in favor to send those reports to the county board? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
For receiving and file the foreclosures and bankruptcies. And the committee, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we will send that forward. I'm sorry, then we'll move back up to number 9 to staff report. Nothing that's pressing to be updated. So then our next Finance and Human Resources Committee will be on June 3rd, 2026 at 5 o'clock. Before we have a motion to adjourn, since we have both of our youth and governance people here, would it be appropriate just to do a quick introduction of the committee and your districts? And if you want to share anything more than that, it'd be great just to kind of a little bit of an icebreaker. So we'll start off with Millie. We'll put you on the spot and start with you. Thank you.
Wait, what do you want me to say? Oh, okay.
What school do you go to?
Okay, yeah. Hi, my name is Millie Shigula. I go to William Horlick High School, and wait, what else do you want me to say? I'm sorry.
Anything you want to tell us?
Oh, I'm really interested and excited to be a part of this. Hello, my name is Gianna. I go to Burlington High School, and this is my second year in the Youth and Governance program.
about 18 years. I went to school at Carthage College, Trumper High School, and Lance Junior High School in New Hampshire.
Thank you, Chairman. I am Supervisor Ernie Rossi. Mine is District 7. That's the southeast corner of the county, right up against the lake in Kenosha. I've been a supervisor for, this is now my 3rd year. I've been involved in local government for 9 years, which is odd to think about. And went to Bradford, then went to Marquette, and then went to work for a family business. We do construction, fun stuff.
I am Jody Spencer. I have been on the county board since 2020. And Horlick High School is in my district. I live right near there. And welcome.
Scott Meyer, I got the 16th district, which is Union Grove, Yorkville, and a little bit of Mount Pleasant. And I've been on the county board since 2015. And welcome.
Bob Miller, representing District 11, which is in the southeast part of Mount Pleasant. My mom was one of the first graduates of Horlick High School. She said when she was there were farm fields all around the school. And I'm a graduate of St. Catherine's High School. Happy that you guys are here.
Good evening. I'm Don Trottier. This is my 5th term on the county board. I represent Mount Pleasant, District 12, Piggly Wiggly on Spring Street over there. I, as Supervisor Rossi said, I'm a graduate of Marquette University, and I'm a Lancer. I'm not an angel, meaning I went to St. Joseph High School, not St. Catherine's.
There's a rivalry.
Welcome.
I'm Gwen. I'm the finance director, not an elected official. I work at the courthouse in the finance department on the 4th floor. And I live in Kenosha, went to Needham Trail High School. So not a Racine County resident.
Hi there, I'm John Alsbach. I work in IT, been here about 10 years. I live in District 7, Mr. Rossi's district, down by the lake. And went to high school at Warren Township in Gurnee, Illinois, and then went to Michigan Tech for college. Came back home, moved to Kenosha, then moved here into Mount Pleasant, and been here about 10 years.
Hi.
And we got Nicole here in the back.
I'm Nicole, I'm the finance department, Gwen, I'm the budget analyst, and I've been with the county services, investigator, and then I moved over to the finance.
And we also still have our district attorney in the audience, so.
What's the question?
We were just introducing ourselves to the youth and youth.
You'll need
Thank you.
more.
Who are you? How long?
On the
have you been
tour,
here?
yeah, yeah.
20 years, and I've lived here my whole life.
I have no other business or betterment for this committee. We need a motion to adjourn.
So move.